3 weeks passed since David made his decision to pay closer attention to the alien research project. Every night, he found himself spending extra time on the research floors, carefully observing the whiteboards and computer screens while he cleaned. The building had become his classroom, and the frustrated conversations of scientists had become his lectures. The research teams were getting desperate. David could see it in their tired faces during the late evening hours when some of them stayed behind to work, coffee cups piled up in trash cans, and the whiteboards were erased and rewritten with new theories almost daily. Nothing was working. Dr. Williams, the project director, looked exhausted every time David saw her. She would pace the conference room during video calls with government officials, explaining why they still couldn't crack the alien code. The company's stock price was dropping, and rumors were spreading that they might lose the multi-million-dollar contract during his break times. David would sit in the empty cafeteria with napkins and old receipts, sketching out the signal patterns he had memorized. His engineering mind couldn't stop working on the puzzle. He had studied computational linguistics in graduate school, focusing on how computers might understand different types of communication patterns. The breakthrough moment came on a quiet Tuesday night. David was cleaning the main research lab when he noticed a new set of signal patterns displayed on the large monitor. These weren't like the previous ones. They were more complex, with layers of information that seemed to fold in on them. Cells dot as he stared at the screen while wiping. Down nearby desks, something clicked in David's mind. The aliens weren't communicating like humans do, with words in a straight line. Instead, they were using a three-dimensional language where meaning existed in the spaces between symbols, not in the symbols themselves. It reminded him of his graduate thesis, which his professors had dismissed as interesting but not practical. He had theorized about communication systems that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, where the real meaning came from relationships between different parts, rather than from individual components. David's heart started racing as he realized what he was seeing. The alien signals weren't random at all. They were following a pattern that no human linguist would think to look for because it was so different from how we naturally communicate. That night, David barely slept. He spent hours at his kitchen table, working out the mathematical relationships he thought he saw in the alien patterns. His daughter Lily's space drawings seemed to watch him from the refrigerator as he filled page after page with equations and diagrams. The next evening at work, David couldn't concentrate on cleaning. His mind was completely focused on the alien communication problem. He had developed what he believed was a working theory for how to translate the signals, but he had no way to test it without access to the research computers. As the weeks continued, David became more convinced that his theory was correct. He watched the research teams try approach after approach, all based on human assumptions about how communication should work. They were looking for the aliens to talk like people. But what if aliens didn't think like people at all? The final push came when David overheard Dr. Williams on a phone call with her boss. The government was threatening to cancel the contract and give it to a competitor. The company had 1 month to show significant progress, or they would lose everything. David thought about his daughter's upcoming science fair. He had promised to help her build a project about space communication, but he couldn't even afford the materials she needed. His night job paid the bills, but there was never anything extra for the things that would make Lily smile. That's when David made the decision that would change his life forever. He spent his entire weekend writing out his theory in simple, clear language that any scientist could understand. He drew diagrams showing how the alien communication worked, and he provided examples of how his translation method could be applied to the actual signals. On Monday night, David's hands shook as he placed his analysis on Dr. Williams' desk. He included a simple note that read, "I think I can help solve your alien communication problem. Please give this a chance. Night cleaning staff, Building A." He spent the rest of his shift wondering if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Would they think he was crazy? Would they fire him for overstepping his boundaries? But as he thought about Lily's excited face talking about aliens and spaceships, he knew he had to take the risk. The next morning, security cameras captured Dr. Williams arriving early and finding the mysterious document on her desk. By lunchtime, she had shared David's analysis with her entire research team. By evening, 3 independent scientists had reviewed his work and reached the same conclusion. The unknown janitor had solved the puzzle that had stumped their best minds for months. Dr. Williams spent the entire day investigating who could have written the detailed analysis that appeared on her desk. She checked employee records, reviewed security footage, and asked around the building. The trail led her to David Rodriguez, a night custodian with a background that shocked everyone who read his file. Master's degree in engineering, previous experience in computational linguistics, published research papers on theoretical communication systems. This wasn't just any janitor. This was a highly educated professional who had been hiding in plain sight for almost a year. The security footage told an incredible story. Night after night, David could be seen studying the whiteboards during his breaks, taking notes on scraps of paper, and clearly understanding the complex research happening around him. He wasn't just cleaning the offices, he was learning, analyzing, and solving problems that the official research team couldn't crack. Dr. Williams decided to wait in her office on Friday evening when David arrived for his night shift. She had printed out his analysis and spread it across her desk, along with his employee file and the security footage screenshots. When David knocked on the door, expecting to empty the trash and clean the office, he found Dr. Williams sitting there with a serious expression on her face. "Mr. Rodriguez," she said calmly, "we need to talk." David's heart sank. He was sure he was about to be fired for overstepping boundaries and interfering with research. That wasn't his business. He thought about Lily, waiting at his sister's house, and how he would explain that Daddy lost his job. But Dr. Williams surprised him. Instead of anger, she showed curiosity and excitement. She held up his analysis and said, "This document just opened the first real communication channel with an alien civilization. How did you figure out what our best scientists couldn't?" David sat down slowly, still not believing what he was hearing. He explained his situation, how he had lost his engineering job when the startup failed, how he couldn't find work in his field, and how he had taken the cleaning job to support his daughter. He told her about his background in linguistics and how he couldn't stop his mind from working on the fascinating puzzle he observed every night. "I know I should have minded my own business," David said quietly, "but I couldn't help myself. The patterns in those signals reminded me of theoretical communication models I studied years ago. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could help." Dr. Williams listened carefully as David explained his theory. He walked over to her whiteboard and began drawing diagrams, showing how the alien language operated in multiple dimensions simultaneously. His explanation was clear, detailed, and brilliant. Just as David was finishing his explanation, an alert sounded on Dr. Williams' computer. A new alien transmission was coming through, the first one in over a week. "Can you translate it?" Dr. Williams asked, her voice filled with excitement and nervousness. David studied the signal patterns appearing on the screen. His hands moved quickly across the whiteboard as he worked through his translation method. The room was silent except for the sound of markers on the board and the hum of computers processing the alien data. After 20 minutes of intense concentration, David stepped back from the whiteboard. His translation was complete, and what it said would change everything humanity thought about our place in the universe. "The signal says," David began, his voice trembling with the weight of the moment, "we have been waiting for minds that can think beyond straight lines. Your species shows promise for understanding. We wish to share knowledge about the pathways between stars." Dr. Williams stared at the translation in complete shock. They weren't just receiving random signals from space, they were in active communication with an intelligent alien civilization that had been waiting for humans to develop the right kind of thinking to understand them. The man who had been mopping her floors an hour earlier had just facilitated first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. David looked at Dr. Williams with uncertainty. "Did I translate that correctly? Does it make sense?" Dr. Williams could only nod, speechless at what had just happened. The implications were enormous. not just for science and humanity's future, but for David's life and his daughter's future. The invisible janitor had just become the most important person in human history. Within just 3 days, David's entire world turned upside down in the best possible way. Dr. Williams called an emergency board meeting and presented David's breakthrough to the company executives. By Tuesday morning, David received a call that changed everything. "Mr. Rodriguez," Dr. Williams said over the phone, "we'd like to offer you the position of Senior Communications Specialist. The starting salary is more than triple what you made in your previous engineering job." David almost dropped the phone. He was standing in his small apartment kitchen, still wearing his cleaning uniform from the night shift, trying to process what he was hearing. After months of struggling to pay rent and buy groceries, he was being offered a dream job that most scientists would spend their entire careers hoping to achieve. When 6-year-old Lily came home from school that afternoon, David was waiting with the biggest smile she had seen in years. He knelt down to her level and said, "Sweetheart, remember how you've been drawing pictures of aliens and asking Daddy about space? Well, Daddy just got a new job helping people talk to real aliens." Lily's eyes went wide with excitement. "Really? Daddy, real aliens like in my drawings?" "Yes, baby girl. And you know what this means? We can finally go to the Space Museum like I promised. And we can get you that telescope you've been wanting for your room." The first few weeks at his new job felt like a dream. David had his own office on the 15th floor, the same floor he used to clean at night. He had a team of assistants, access to the most advanced computers in the building, and the respect of colleagues who hung on his every word about alien communication. The alien transmissions became more frequent and complex. Through David's translations, humanity learned incredible things. The aliens called themselves the Keepers, and they were part of a vast network of civilizations spread across the galaxy. Earth was being evaluated for possible inclusion in this cosmic community. But with great success came unexpected challenges. Some of David's new colleagues resented his rapid rise from janitor to department head. They whispered in hallways about how unfair it was that someone without proper credentials could leapfrog over people who had worked their way up for years. "He's just a lucky cleaning guy who got in over his head," David overheard one scientist say during lunch. "How do we know he's really understanding these signals correctly?" The pressure from government officials was intense too. Men in black suits showed up at the office regularly, demanding detailed reports about every alien communication. They questioned David's background, his methods, and whether a former janitor could really handle such sensitive information. Media attention made things even more complicated. News reporters somehow found out about the story and started camping outside David's apartment building. Headlines read from mop to stars, "Janitor becomes humanity's voice to aliens." While the attention was flattering, it made life difficult for him and Lily. The workload was enormous. David found himself staying at the office until midnight, analyzing new transmissions and preparing reports for various government agencies. The alien communications revealed that Earth had a limited time to prove humanity was ready for galactic membership. Every translation David made could determine whether humans would join the cosmic community or remain isolated in space. As David worked longer hours, he noticed changes in Lily. She started acting out at school, getting into arguments with other kids, and having trouble sleeping at night. Her teacher called to express concerns about her behavior and academic performance. "Daddy, you promised we would spend time together when you got your new job," Lily said one evening when David came home late again. "But now you're gone even more than when you were cleaning buildings." David's heart broke as he realized what was happening. He had achieved everything he had dreamed of professionally: respect, financial security, and the chance to make history. But in pursuing his career goals, he was failing at the most important job of all: being a good father. The wake-up call came when Lily's school called during an important meeting with government officials. His daughter had gotten into a fight with another student and was sitting in the principal's office, refusing to talk to anyone but her daddy. David looked around the conference room full of important people discussing humanity's future. Among the stars, then looked at his phone showing his daughter's school number. For the first time since his promotion, he made a decision that put family ahead of work. "I'm sorry, but I need to leave," David announced to the shocked room. "My daughter needs me, and that's more important than any meeting." As David drove to Lily's school, he realized that success meant nothing if he lost the person who mattered most to him. The aliens could wait, his daughter couldn't. He needed to find a way to balance saving humanity's future with being present for the little girl who had been his motivation through all the difficult times. That evening, David made a decision that would define the rest of his career and his relationship with Lily. He was going to have both success and family, but it would require setting boundaries that some people wouldn't understand. 6 months after becoming humanity's primary alien translator, David had learned to balance his extraordinary career with being a devoted father. It wasn't easy, but he negotiated a flexible schedule that allowed him to attend Lily's school events, help with homework, and be present for the everyday moments that matter most. David set up a small translation station in their new apartment, where he could work from home several days a week. Lily loved sitting nearby while he communicated with the keepers, drawing pictures of the star friends her father talked to. Every day, her bedroom walls were now covered with drawings of friendly alien creatures and spaceships traveling between planets. The breakthrough in human-alien relations came when the keepers expressed curiosity about human families. Through David's translations, they learned about concepts like parental love, childhood creativity, and the bonds that hold families together. These ideas were completely foreign to the keepers, who lived in a collective society without individual family units. The mind bridge who speaks for your species often mentions the small creator of images. Came one alien message that David translated. We wish to understand this connection that gives him strength and purpose. David realized this was an opportunity to show the aliens something uniquely beautiful about humanity. He arranged for a video conference where Lily could meet the keepers directly, with him translating their conversation in real time. 7-year-old Lily sat at the computer screen, completely unafraid, showing her latest drawings to alien beings from across the galaxy. Through David's translations, she asked innocent questions that led to profound cultural exchanges. "Do you have kids in space?" Lily asked, holding up a picture of alien families holding hands. The keepers found human childhood fascinating. They had never encountered a species where young ones created art for pure joy, or where adults devoted so much energy to nurturing and protecting their offspring. David's translations of Lily's simple questions opened up entirely new areas of understanding between the two civilizations. The Alien Communication Project became a family affair. Lily started learning basic keeper symbols, showing a natural talent for the multidimensional language patterns. She could grasp concepts that adult linguists struggled with, approaching the alien communication with the open mind that only children possess. "Daddy, the star friends think in circles instead of straight lines," Lily explained one day, drawing spiral patterns that perfectly illustrated advanced keeper communication concepts. That's why their words look like puzzles. David's success story became an inspiration around the world. He was invited to speak at universities, appear on television shows, and write books about his journey from janitor to humanity's voice among the stars. But he always made sure these opportunities didn't interfere with his time with Lily. The most important moment came when the Keepers officially welcomed humanity into the Galactic Alliance. David's translations had proven that humans possessed qualities the cosmic community valued: creativity, individual bonds, emotional depth, and the ability to think beyond conventional patterns. Your species has shown us new ways of understanding existence. The Keepers communicated through David. The small creator's images and questions have taught us about concepts we had never imagined. Humanity brings gifts to our community that we did not know we needed. As David reflected on his incredible journey, he kept his old janitor's badge in a frame on his desk. It reminded him that every person has hidden potential, and that dignity exists in all honest work. He had learned that success wasn't just about career achievements or recognition. It was about using your abilities to help others, while staying true to the people who matter most. Lily, now 8 years old, had become something of a celebrity herself. Schools around the world invited her to speak about communicating with aliens, and her children's book about friendship across the stars became a bestseller. But to David, she was still just this little girl who needed bedtime stories and help with math homework. The future stretched out before them, filled with possibilities that once seemed impossible. Humanity was taking its first steps into a larger universe, guided by advanced alien civilizations who had become friends instead of strangers. And it all started because a desperate father found the courage to speak up when he noticed something others had missed. David's story proved that sometimes the biggest changes in history come from the most unexpected places. Heroes don't always wear uniforms or have impressive titles. Sometimes they're just ordinary people who refuse to stay silent when they have something important to contribute. As David tucked Lily into bed one night, she looked up at him with sleepy eyes and said, "Daddy, I'm proud that you talk to the star friends, but I'm even more proud that you're my daddy." And in that moment, David knew he had achieved the perfect balance between changing the world and being the father his daughter deserved.